Hello and welcome to Arts Review. In today's programme we'll be talking about Sheila Gould's latest novel One Hot Summer, the new production of The Tempest at the National Theatre, and the new John Allen film. Here to discuss them with me is Julia Webb.
Hello.
First, the writer Sheila Gould. She's just brought out her latest novel One Hot Summer. It's about a young girl who goes to spend the summer with her uncle and later discovers his true identity. What did you make of it, Julia?
I thought it was quite an enjoyable book in places, but the storyline was very complicated, so it wasn't a complete success.
Yes, it took me a long time to work out precisely what was going on. What did you make of the ending?
I thought the so-called surprise ending didn't work. It just didn't come off. The fact that her uncle turns out to be her real father wasn't a surprise at all.
So this wasn't a story that made you want to go and read more of her novels?
No, I'm afraid it wasn't. In fact, it put me off reading any more of her work.
So let's move on to Joanne Passman's new production of The Tempest. It's had excellent write-ups in the press. What were your impressions? Did it live up to your expectations?
Yes, it certainly did. I was expecting something special, but this was more than that. It was superb. I thought the sense of mystery and magic came across very powerfully.
I agree completely. I think it's by far her best production, and I'm sure it will be a huge success.
Yes, it's definitely a production not to be missed.
And finally, let's talk about John Allen's new film, Suburban Blues.
I found it amusing at times, but dark and melancholy at others. So it wasn't at all clear what message he was trying to put across.
Yes, it's had very mixed reviews.
I thought the music and the photography were out of this world, but as for the storyline, well, I couldn't make head or tail of it. And the hero's behaviour at the end was completely out of character.
Yes, I had mixed feelings about it too. And there, I'm afraid, we'll have to leave you till next week.
One. I didn't understand what was happening.
Go on.
I didn't understand what was going on. 2. She's very good at conveying her ideas.
Put across.
She's very good at putting across her ideas.
3.
The plan for saving the company was excellent, but it didn't succeed.
Come off.
The plan for saving the company was excellent, but it didn't come off.
4.
They're going to publish a new edition of her poems.
Bring out.
They're going to bring out a new edition of her poems.
5.
The reviews discouraged me from reading the book.
Put off.
The reviews put me off reading the book.
6.
The play wasn't as good as I thought it would be.
Live up to.
The play didn't live up to my expectations.
7.
The message of the play was understood very clearly.
Come across.
The message of the play came across very clearly.
8.
What was your impression of him?
Make of.
What did you make of him?
9.
In the end, they discovered he was the murderer.
Turn out.
In the end, he turned out to be the murderer.
Or,
In the end, it turned out that he was the murderer. One.
I was completely deceived by his charming manner.
Take in.
I was completely taken in by his charming manner.
2.
I never base my judgments on first impressions.
Go by.
I never go by first impressions.
3.
She could see what kind of man he was immediately.
See through.
She saw through him immediately.
4.
She pretended to be an American tourist.
Pass off.
She passed herself off as an American tourist.
5.
She gave the impression of being a very kind person.
Come across as.
She came across as a very kind person.
6.
He persuaded me to lend him some money.
Talk into.
He talked me into lending him some money.
7.
You won't escape being punished for this.
Get away with.
You won't get away with this.
8.
The police told him to give them the gun.
Hand over.
The police told him to hand over the gun.
One.
I come from a very poor background. My parents never had any money, so we literally lived from hand to mouth. That's probably why I set out to become rich before I was 30. I found a job in a company, and when I'd saved up enough money, I started up my own business. What do I put my success down to? Hard work. You have to work hard for what you want in this life.
2. I'm fortunate because I came into a lot of money when my aunt died and left me everything. I invested the money, and now I live off the interest. I suppose I'm what you would call well off, but money isn't everything. Sometimes it creates more problems than it solves. 3.
At one time I was extremely well off, but then came the stock market crash and I lost everything. I had no money to pay off my debts and I was declared bankrupt. What did I learn from this experience? Firstly, money doesn't grow on trees, and secondly, when you lose everything you find out who your real friends are. They're the ones who stay with you when you come down in the world.
4.
The last job I had was so badly paid that I couldn't make ends meet on my salary, and as a result I was always getting into debt. Everything was becoming more expensive all the time, but my salary stayed the same, so I couldn't keep up with the cost of living. My bank account was in the red and I had no savings to fall back on. And then I lost my job. Now things are really hard, and I have to get by on less than £50 a week. I know they say money can't buy happiness, but I'd rather be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy.
5.
Some people spend money like water, but not me. I believe in saving up for a rainy day. I put by a little money every week. You see, you have to think about the future when you're my age. When you're young, you don't need money. But when you're old, you can't live without it.
One.
I've repaid all my debts.
Pay off.
I've paid off my debts.
2.
I save a little money every week.
Put by.
I put by a little money every week.
3.
He inherited a fortune when his father died.
Come into.
He came into a fortune when his father died.
4.
She survives on a very small income.
Get by on.
She gets by on a very small income.
5.
She gets all her money from her parents.
Live off.
She lives off her parents.
6.
My salary isn't rising as fast as inflation.
Keep up with.
My salary isn't keeping up with inflation.
7.
We thought her bad behavior was the result of stress.
Put something down to.
We put her bad behavior down to stress.
8.
I know I can always ask my parents for help if I'm ever in trouble.
Fall back on.
I know I can always fall back on my parents if I'm ever in trouble.
9.
She intended to become the best tennis player in the world.
Set out to.
She set out to become the best tennis player in the world.